Everybody's here and ready? I believe we're all ready to start. Anybody have any concerns about starting? If not, would you bow your heads for a moment of silent prayer, please? Thank you. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kim, would you give the roll call, please?
Mr. Benton?
Here.
Mrs. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Swager?
Here.
Mrs. Thomas?
Here.
Mrs. Boer?
And I'm here, thank you. Any comments this evening? Any announcements? I don't see the paper. Did anyone sign in?
Yeah, next one.
I do.
No one signed in?
Literally,
Yes?
like 5 people.
Nobody signed in, but
Okay, thank you. No one signed in.
I do
so-
have a couple on the agenda to bring to your attention. We added a few more donations that came in to the agenda. And also, we have removed the one leave without pay that we had on the original because the event was canceled to which that employee was going.
Oh.
So we removed her.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, so noted. Treasurer's report?
Okay. We have 2 sets of minutes from October 12th and October 26th. Y'all should have gotten the October 2020 report. We have appropriations and estimated resources to approve. Many donations totaling for this month to $14,275 for the broadcast studio. There was also a donation to the high school track team, a donation for middle school library books, and a donation for some instructional materials for an elementary teacher. Item E is for the board to assign me as your designee for public records training. You all are still welcome, of course, to do the public records training, but this prevents, for audit purposes, this puts it with one person as your designee so that we're covered as far as audit purposes go. We really should do that every time there's new board members elected. So we're doing it now. We'll do it again in January of 22 when there's new board members, or new board, not necessarily new board members. And then the last item is to approve the 5-year forecast, which you should have all received earlier last week.
Kim, I'm going to step out here just a minute and make a comment since these are all merged together. I do know that there's interest from the village because they have the same issues we do. They need to have some of their members take the classes. There was discussion, could we have a group meeting and have the agenda come out here, have the state of Ohio come out here and present it. I'm going to vote yes, but I just want to tell you, if you want to call them and see if they're still interested in hosting it. They did it last time.
Okay.
Obviously, we would be socially distanced and all the right things.
Just need a certain number of people.
We need
to commit to
25
attend,
to make
25.
it function, and we need to be sure we're socially distanced. I know they have X number of people that are all new. So rather than, handle however you like, but I think it would be a nice courtesy to call
That'd be
them
great.
too. Okay. All right. We'll entertain a motion on those items, and then we'll come back and make more comments. We certainly want to thank all the donors, so we'll do that appropriately right after the motion here.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion out of Alan. We need a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second from Tim. Any further discussion? Let's do some further discussion. How wonderful for all the donations. Anybody want to make any comments on that?
Just want to thank everybody for the donations to the broadcast studio, the high school track team, and the middle school library, as well as the teacher donation for instructional materials. Very nice. Thank you.
You're just not hearing. I think Debbie's listening to the actual broadcast.
Yeah,
Is it working? Okay, great.
I'd echo Ann's comments there. It's just fantastic, the amount of people that have stepped up for a multitude of issues here at the school to donate to. So I do appreciate it.
I think that goes for everyone, but it's nice to be trade around that everybody gets to speak to those donations. Amanda, did you want to comment?
I think that that's great. There's a lot of donations, and I was going to check in. I think we're at what we need for you guys to proceed with all of the equipment for donation or for scoreboard broadcast studio stuff. We're at what we need.
Yes, we're getting a final quote. The committee is continuing to meet with different vendors.
Mhm.
And we have a vendor that's going now to final quote on the equipment that we've decided on. And we should be able to bring that to the board either in December or January, as soon as they get back with us. They've completed their studies.
Okay, awesome. That's great. Good news. Thank you.
And they did a demo, so Mike can allude to it. They did a demo, and I think everyone's feels pretty comfortable with moving forward. And Mike, just make sure everyone really hears that may not see this meeting, make sure that they understand that we really thank them. It's awesome.
We're going to continue to try to raise more money. It's, like I said, we saw the demonstration last Friday. It works very nicely. It's very intuitive. Any of us that sit down in 10 or 15 minutes, we can actually do what we work. It's got a lot of bells and whistles underneath the easy part of it, and so we stand on it. I think Dale alluded to the fact that we sort of zeroed in on this company more than any of the others.
Could you speak just a little louder, Mike? Just a little bit louder. It's not coming through.
We're excited to see this next year as a program. We're going to do what we can to help you make that happen. Like I said, we think it's a great opportunity for the kids in a lot of different aspects. The educational part of this is just unbelievable what we're going to be able to do. And we're happy with our 50th year to make this happen for Johnstown.
Thank you for that report, Mike. We'll look forward to subsequent reports. At this time, we have a need to go into executive session, and I'll entertain
We
a
need to
vote.
Vote on that.
I'm sorry. We need to vote on that
Mr. Benton,
at this time.
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. Thor.
Yes, I'm sorry I called before the vote. I do that at least one time in a meeting because I get so taken by all the good comments. So at this time, we need to go to executive session, and I need a motion, please.
So moved.
I will second.
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? It will be for the purpose of preparation for negotiation and discussion,
Yeah.
and we'll be leaving.
What are we at?
6:30.
38.
6:38?
Okay, and we'll move across the hall, so I think that will take care of the issues here. Could we have a vote on that?
Don't need to here.
Mr.
We
Benton,
don't need to, never
Yes.
mind.
Yes. Go ahead.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. Thor.
Yes. Thank you, and the motion is carried. Who said we didn't need a vote
No,
on
they
it?
come.
Now you vote to go in, you can declare out.
No, I'm good.
You're good.
Not talking about the vote. Who's going over?
Oh,
Just the board, initially, just the board, and then we'll include others in a minute here. I've got some things to give us, and then we'll go from there.
Need help?
Nope, just have one little sheet of papers here. Be sure to discard any papers we distributed in there except for.
I collected the extras.
Collected them, good, awesome.
I just need that figure.
note off of mine. I can write you a note.
I'm just gonna turn this off.
Are you watching Netflix in here?
I gotta find the agenda, it's in here somewhere.
What was the time?
7:55.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's the increase.
good, I'm glad you did, thank you.
Got one.
Okay, at this time, we're ready to continue and we'll, give the super, maybe we won't. Ready?
Yes, yes.
Superintendent's report, you're up.
All right, thank you very much. First of all, again, I want to start by thanking the staff for their incredible work that continues. It is unbelievable to see the teachers, administrative team, the cooks, everybody across the board putting in the effort that they're making. So my wholehearted thanks to you for making this a successful year thus far. I will say that we are experiencing a spike in the COVID number of cases, obviously, in the state of Ohio. That being said, we're starting to see increase in this area as well, and seeing an increase within our school district. The 10,300 and roughly 63 residents that we have within our district. So when you see the latest report I posted up today on our website, you will see that it will list 22 adult cases within our school district and 3 student cases within our school district. Those 3 students represent 2 that are online and 2 full-time college online, or one full-time college online with CCP that have been tested positive. So we are still sitting here November 9th without our first positive case, student case within our district. That's a tribute to everyone working within our district, to everywhere from the disinfecting that's going on, the prevention products we're putting down, the cleaning that the teachers are doing on a regular basis, right on up to the Board of Education. Everybody has stepped up and making this a success. That being said, we're starting to see the impact a little more with regard to quarantines. As I sit here right now, the count sits at about 24 students and 1 staff member who have been quarantined. Once again, 100% of those quarantines are due to outside cases. So as we said, going into this school year, one of the safest places to be is in your school district, okay? People are contracting this out in their private lives in gatherings, not wearing masks, and doing those things that probably shouldn't be doing. And the governor is making this point more and more. I was on a conference call with principals, ADs, and Lieutenant Governor from 4:30 today till 5:15. And also on that call was the High School Athletic Association, who some of you may know, we have a new executive director for Ohio High School Athletic Association. It's Doug Goot, who was just previously the superintendent at Newark. So he was on there, and we also had Department of Health. And our conversations now are not unlike those conversations we were having in the summer getting ready for fall. So we still have concerns with this spike. The gravest concerns are the impacts on our hospitals right now. They're seeing an uptick in the number of cases, and it's beginning to strain the hospitals, particularly out in the rural areas with the smaller hospitals. And so over the next week and 2 weeks will tell us a lot, according to the Lieutenant Governor Husted, with respect to what we can and can't do in Ohio, but certainly what we can and can't do with indoor sports coming up. Right now, we're under the same standards that were established going into this school year. So at our basketball games, we'll be operating at 15% with a 15% of capacity in our seating. We're looking at, when I say we, the athletic directors of the county, the superintendents meet this Thursday with the Licking County Department of Health. And we're going to continue these discussions and looking at the data with respect to who can travel to games and not travel to games. But our goal will obviously be on getting the family members to see their kids play. If there's some on top of that, great. And we got to determine how we're going to do that, right, Madeline? So there will be limited number of tickets. We are more concerned with the indoor sports than we were with outdoor sports because the spread it is feared to be a little quicker indoors. So we're still under the same guidelines we were under with respect to indoor activities. That includes concerts, shows. I will tell you, our band's going to be performing this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday doing their varsity show, but it won't be in the PAC. It'll be out in our stadium. And so they're working feverishly to put on a great show for people, and they've sold tickets, but they will still be under the same restrictions of the 15% of capacity in the stands, with a focus on family first and then others in their ticket sales. But we have a lot of tough decisions to make with regard to that. I mean, you may think it's a simple decision, but our cheerleaders work very hard. Let me just give you one example. Our cheerleaders work really hard to learn their routines and to be able to perform at basketball games. We don't know if they'll be able to travel to the away games yet. We're still talking about that. The leaning is away from that. They're cheering. They're down there close to the court against the wall, and we have a limited number of people at our home games. Those are tough decisions we have to make because the kids get a shot this year to cheer. We take every one of those seriously and hope that we have the respect of parents and students and staff when we have to make those tough decisions. But we're going to make them, given the data that we have at the time we have to make them, probably by the end of this week, right, Madeline? We'll have a better idea of what winter's going to look like. But keep in mind, it can change. If this spike continues over the next 2 weeks, we've already heard from the governor that they'll have to ramp up and start to perhaps close down some activities. And so we don't know what that'll look like. Let's just hope and pray that this current spike turns the corner. Promising news that we heard today on the vaccine, right? I think Pfizer has one out that's 90% effective. It seems to be rolling. And then second, I think Johnson-Johnson right around the corner, ready to roll out. So I think we'll start seeing vaccines, and then it's a matter of who's going to take the vaccines. And some will take them, some won't. So it's going to take some time to get that into our population. My understanding is that they're going to focus on the top tier first, which are your most compromised folks, those being in nursing homes, the older folks, those in hospitals. Educators, students, and the like would be in phase 2 from what I've read so far. So then they'll come into the schools and start inoculating those who choose to take the vaccine. I also understand that the military is being used to help deploy some of this. So that's what I know so far going into this second semester planning. Say a few words about that. We heard clearly at the last meeting that there was not a desire to move forward with a hybrid plan. I agree with that. And so we've taken that off the table. We are still honing the numbers a little bit this week to see exactly where we are at each grade level. But we do know this, and I've communicated to the board in the briefs, that we have a need for some more support given the numbers that are coming back. So we will have more students at second semester than we did first semester, and we can accommodate them. We know now we can accommodate them, but we need extra support to make that happen. I'll explain that when I get to my recommendations. Once again, the safety comes first. We've got to see where we're a little flexible on these numbers right now. We want to be a little more sure in the next couple days before we actually make the final decisions of what we're doing with staff, and hopefully have the support of the extra staff we're going to ask for tonight. The flexibility is in those numbers of those who have withdrawn their children to homeschooling, withdrawn them to charter school, and whether they will be coming back. We don't know because they're not on our radar. And then we have the non-respondents, which the principals have been out calling, trying to get answers in, and we hope to have that resolved certainly by midweek this week. So we think we're going to be able to continue with our 5-day-a-week in person with a contingency or another cohort continuing on the Johnny Learning Academy. And I will say the comments were just incredibly humbling that came in for our staff. Even on Johnny Learning Academy, they were very positive. And I think, did you all get a copy of all the comments sent to you yet? The comment sheets?
I
Not
don't.
Not the comments. We got
Not
the
the
survey.
comments. I'll have to get
numbers.
those out. We have those. I'll shoot those out to you. I just want to share my appreciation with the parents and the community and the board in helping us make this a great success. So with that, my recommendations are before you this evening. First of all, general recommendations under Section 9, asking you to approve a request for reduction of fees for use of facilities for the Johnstown Select Sports, as we do each year, 2020-21, reducing that rate to $20 an hour. I think normal rate use of that gym is $65 for one building, $70 for the others, for normal groups of that nature. Under item B, I am asking the board's consideration to approve 3 policies that are necessary. One is the revision of Title IX regulations that came forth here in 2020 that we must have in place. That's policy 2266. Asking you to approve the adjusted policy 3142, which is non-renewal of a teacher contract, to correct the proper dates. It still had the old April 30th date in that old one that needed to be changed. So that will bring us up to date on that. And policy 3220, also under the same action B, the standards-based teacher evaluation system. Board having approved the move to OTES 2, we had to go through and make sure that our collective bargaining agreement matches with our policy, and this takes that action to do that. So the exact wording that's in our collective bargaining agreement will be as it reads in 3220, which is also the same. It's in our MOU we agreed to. That having been the case, and with the changes in OTES 2, there's no longer a necessity for policy 3220.03, evaluation of teachers on limited contract. We can retire that policy if the board so chooses this evening. And I'd answer any questions on that when we get to the motion. Under item D, I'm asking the board to approve the health insurance renewal and rates with MMO via the Ohio School Benefits Cooperative, OBC, for calendar year 2021. There's been a lot of information for the committee to absorb this year. As you know, we had a very, very bad claims year. We ended up with a renewal at 34%. Because we are in the OSBC consortium, they happened to had voted to maximize or put a cap on those increases this year at 15%. So we're enjoying that 15%. That will, however, cost us an additional $153,273.12 this year over last year. You heard a presentation a couple of weeks ago from Steve Fade, our broker with Educator Consultant Services, in which he had shared the description of our plan as being generous, I think he said, with our deductibles, our co-pays, our maximum out of pockets. And that's okay in good years. This is a year that has been bad with claims. I want to say 149% off the top of my head, 149% loss ratio, meaning basically for every dollar paid out in claims, or every dollar in claims, the insurance company paid out $1.49. So that's not going to happen too long. So the premiums go up. And that's where that extra $153,000 this coming year will come from, unless the board wishes to make changes. Not recommending those changes at this point in time to the board. The one change that would be in this particular plan that wasn't in last would be that there is a fourth tier for high-cost prescription drugs. And so what that'll mean is a little bit more on the copay side for those having the extremely high-priced drugs, which is not uncommon in the industry, to have a fourth tier. That is the only change that's in this plan being put before you this evening. There is no request to increase copays. There's no request to increase deductible. There's no request to increase maximum out of pocket. We think that given we're in hard times right now, and we want to hold off on making any adjustments in insurance and kind of see how this next year goes. So that is a proposal that's before you this evening, is to leave our plan as is. And I appreciate the board's discussion, feedback, committees, feedback. We've painstakingly gone through this and thought about what we should do, what we can do. These times are just very challenging for us to recommend major changes, and I respect that. I respect that. Under item E, asking the board to approve a 2-year contract with Landscape Design Solutions for mowing and landscaping care for the district for calendar years 2021 and 22. This is our current company, and I might say they've done a marvelous job compared to ones we've had before. These folks have done a nice job. They've not only mowed, but they've taken care of our landscaping beds. They've kept them mulched. They've trimmed bushes when they needed. They've kept things look, I think our grounds have looked about as good as they have for many years. So they've done a good job. We had one other company quote that wasn't even in the ballpark. So we only had 2 companies quote on the RFP that we put out. We like to see more people bid, but only 2 did. And so I recommend that we continue with this group. And board, these last 2 really relate to going into the second semester and the planning for us to do so. Under item F, I'm asking under general recommendations, the board to authorize purchase of additional Chromebooks to a maximum of $90,000. Why? We had an order in July for 352, I believe, computers, Chromebooks. We're still waiting on them. The market is saturated. We can't get these devices except through other sources. So here's the deal. We had a great deal. Debbie, what did we get those 352 at? $220 some dollars. We don't want to give up on that order. We want to let that order sit until they can fill it, whether they fill it in February, whether they fill it in March or June. Because these prices are going way up, right? Supply and demand. So the prices are going as high as, what did you see them, Debbie? As high as $700 in some of these markets.
Yeah, or even higher.
The higher end. So what we're asking you to do tonight, the tech committee representatives took a look at where we are, knowing that next year we have to refresh some of these computers anyway. All right. What I'm really asking you to do is to approve an advance to take care of those refresh this year, because we are finding through DataServe, they have markets they're getting into where we can find a couple hundred computers here or 100 computers here and maybe get them shipped in the next few weeks. My biggest concern with all of this computer stuff is our intent with the July order was to have plenty in line and here and up and running should we have the need to go full remote this winter. And we don't know that we won't be there. I'd rather be prepared. So this 90,000 allows us to buy as many as we can, up to $90,000. And we think we can make a dent and apply that to the next year's refresh numbers. So it's not wasteful in any way, shape, or form. It's a need, and I'd appreciate your consideration tonight in supporting that. There's a chance we could get those in the next month or so. Under item G, my final general recommendation to you is to authorize the continuation of the current model of instruction, which is in-person 5 days per week for students that choose to do that, and Johnny Learning Academy for the other cohort of students who choose to stay at home and study in that program for the second semester of 2020-21 school year. So I'm asking you to approve the model. I want to share one other piece with you on that, and that is we ran into a bit of a barrier. I know we had talked about if we had to go to a different model, the preferred model might be split sessions with a morning group and an afternoon group so we can maintain that continuity of learning, maybe get the core classes in the morning and the core classes in the afternoon covered and teach the other electives online. The barrier we ran into is Progress Book doesn't allow us to do the change of master schedule mid-year. So it all had to be hand master scheduled. And that is quite a daunting task to not to be able to use that. We just learned that in this past week. So we're hopeful that we don't have to do that split session, but that's an option that's on the table, a road that we were still looking at just to be prepared in case it's needed. So right now our options are this 5 days a week in person and the Johnny Learning Academy, as we have done this first semester. And then if things ramp up and get bad and the state starts to go the other way and closing down a little bit more, we would consider remote, fully remote. There's my general recommendations for you this evening. I'd be happy to separate any of these out or answer any questions once the motion's on the table.
It was a question I should have asked before we started the meeting on item, on the superintendent's recommendation. Is there any desire of any board member to take any part or any item out of that to be voted on separately? That's a lot to digest, and I see already a shaking of the heads. However, some of us also have a concern about when you lump something together, you're either forced to vote for all of it, some of it, none of it, or whatever. So I suggest if anybody has anything to pull out, now's the time to do it. I'll just tell you personally, I struggle with the policy portion, and those 3 policies, I see a couple of them are fine, and some of them I think need a little bit of polish. So we can address that when we get to it, or you can put the motion on the floor to accept all from item A through G.
So moved.
To take the whole group, A
We
through
have
G.
to vote yes or no, then you can pull something out.
Fine.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Since you recommended it already.
I'll second
I
Tim.
can recommend it, but if you wish to pull an item out, then you can do a separate motion.
Okay.
On the rest if you wish.
What do you want to do? What do you?
I'm fine. It's up if someone
I'm
else.
sorry, I
wants to pull
can't
something.
hear you.
What do you want to do? Do you want to make a
You know
motion
what?
and then change?
I will just vote yes or no, but the intent for me will be on B, on the policies. So I can do that and explain that.
I have a question on A, and
Yes.
I'd rather make the motion and then if we have to pull it out,
Okay.
is that
good.
okay with you?
Yes.
Okay.
That's great.
So you'll pull out for separate vote A and B?
Yes.
Okay, so then
So we're going
If
to
you
do
wish
C
to-
through G.
Amend my vote.
C
to
through
C
G?
through G.
Sorry, Tim.
C
Thank
through
Know what
G.
to do.
Do we have a second for 3C?
I'll second.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Would you call the roll? Oh, any other further discussion? Good, we've done enough damage. So would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes, and the motion will be carried, and we'll now go back to item A.
I'll make a motion for item A.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Discussion. Thank you, Tim. Discussion, please.
I would just like to, one of the questions I had was, since we do have the cleaning of our facilities going on after school lets out, how will that, and on the weekends, they go in and spray with their oxygenation, I don't know what those ions, what?
Electrostatic machines.
Thank you, electrostatic.
Ion machine. Got
So
it.
how will that affect that sanitation being done? I mean,
Shouldn't really affect
can the kids
that
be in
sanitation.
during that time? I mean, is there a
Yeah.
time period that they couldn't be in the school building during that? That was
No,
my,
These guys get in there sometimes at 5:30 in the morning, and you're not gonna find people in there. They'll work around them.
I just mean, breathing this, or should they, is there,
They won't spray while they're in there.
right? Okay.
They'll have to spray around them. I mean, they'll have to.
They spray after they're in there. Is that what you're saying? I
They'll
couldn't-
spray
they're
at
gone.
times when they're not in there. That's why we do a lot of it on the weekends. So they'll have to hit, if they're doing any spraying in the gyms and they're scheduled for use, they'll look at the schedule and go in there before they're scheduled to be there and do any spraying that they need to do.
I'm going to ask another question, just because that is an outside group. Are we allowing our gym to be used for other outside activities? Is that our normal policy right now? Is that, I don't know.
We didn't
I'm just
let that
curious. Are
happen
we
for
letting
fall.
Other groups in our gym or in our classrooms
Spring,
or
right.
whatever outside
No,
of-
fall with JYA for
JYA
volleyball.
made that decision.
JYA decided not to do fall
Okay.
sports. JYA has decided to do winter.
Yeah.
And so they requested the use of the gyms.
Okay.
They would have to follow the same protocol as our teams. You asked some good questions earlier this week, as far as monitoring and managing.
Mhm.
We do not manage those programs, nor do we have people employed to watch them on the weekends. We have 2 maintenance guys that work on the weekends to basically let them in and make sure it's locked up when they leave. So it's based on observation, self-policing. The commissioners are in charge of watching them during normal times. They're going to
Right.
be in charge of making sure they follow protocol. So if we get, it's the type of thing, kind of like the health department does with sporting events. I mean, if they get complaints that people aren't following the protocols that have been put in place, then they can shut us down. And we can do the same with these groups. If they would come in and not, the kids while they're in the stands aren't wearing their masks, we could, and we get complaints, and we can look at the cameras and find out if they are or not. Okay. Because they're running all the time. So if we get complaints, we'll investigate. And if they don't follow the rules, lose the privilege of using the gym.
Are we going to have the proper cleaning supplies available to them? I don't want groups bringing in their own cleaning supplies.
Right.
That may or may not be.
Yeah, we
That's a
talked
good
about
point,
that.
Tim.
I agree with that.
We talked about
Yeah.
that. We need to leave reasonable supplies for
I'd rather
for
just
any
provide
groups, our
that.
teams included,
I would
in the
agree.
gyms that they can access. Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we, and I did hear some groups talking. I don't know why we couldn't just have a cleaning cart that we mark to be left out that has those cleaning supplies. They don't get co-mixed with what we use normally, whatever that may be,
Mhm.
but they are the appropriate cleaning supplies. I agree with Tim on that. I've heard a lot of pushback about.
No, we could-
They
yeah,
either don't
that's-
have any, don't know where to find it, and there's no custodian on duty to.
Kind of like
guide them.
a gym cart that would have supplies
Yeah.
for any groups using in there.
Mhm.
Good idea. It had the
Okay.
40A, it had the proper mops,
Right.
it's not a lot of supplies that they really need,
Right.
but
But they don't need to go looking for it, and they don't know which custodian to call, or is there one that they could really reach and get those supplies? I think the intention of the groups are good. They want to clean up after
Mm-hmm.
their groups in there, but they don't know what to use, so you're right. Okay, any other further comments on that
So
item?
if we did go forward with this vote tonight, and they did approve it, what would happen if, for whatever reason, it gets shut down? I mean, are we on the hook for anything in this contract, or we're good on this?
no, we would just shut them down. I mean, if let's say they close our sports season,
Right,
they're not going to have theirs. I mean,
Okay.
they have
because
to
we had no
follow-
choice last
No, they
time.
wouldn't
I
have
mean,
choice.
it came
Right.
from the health department, and we were shut down.
But what we know right now, we can still have it. And
Mm-hmm.
so we really don't have a reason to deny them to get in there. That's the future of our program too. really, with these little guys, getting their experience. So as long as they follow the rules, there's really no reason they shouldn't play and use the gym like they had before.
Okay, thank you.
Is that all there is on that? I'm going to bring up item B here on these.
You have a motion and a second on item A right now, Ruth Ann.
Oh,
We have to vote on it.
Do we need to do just item A?
I did it, yeah, we did it
Okay,
separate
that's how
to
we
vote.
did it. Okay, we motion a second. Then no further discussion. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Blair?
Yes. I didn't know you were going to look at me. Yes.
Then you have item B.
Okay, and item B, policies are great, and I.
Motion to
Motion to
make a
discuss.
Pardon me?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Need a
discussion.
motion. I can't hear with the mask
Motion,
on. I'm
discussion.
sorry.
Tim
Okay.
motioned, I second.
Motion and a
Ann,
second.
thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Discussion, please. Okay, I want to mention that I think policies are great, but every time we have a policy, it seems like it grows. I'm holding in my hand the policy on Title IX regulations, 15 pages. Now, at this rate, our policy book will end up being about, I don't know how many hundreds, thousands of pages by the time we think we don't need these policies anymore. All I'm asking is not to, the reason I feel so passionate about it, the more verbose we were advised by our attorneys that the chances for a contest on the verbiage is greater than if we tried to keep it concise and reference those laws in the Ohio Revised Code that reference the salient points in a specific policy. My concern is with 15 pages, you've got a lot of words here. I don't know. I think it needs to be approved by an attorney before we do it. I know the source of this policy, but I would really feel more comfortable accepting it if I knew it had been reviewed by an attorney and we've been as concise as we can. So therefore, on some of these, you're going to find me voting no. I'm not opposing the policy. I'm not opposed to the fact that we need it. I understand the sense of urgency. So maybe this time I'll vote yes. It could be because I know that we need this policy quickly. But it doesn't mean that at a later time, we can't review this and take it to an attorney and cut it down. 15 pages, if you've already seen our policy book. So I'd like to just put that out there. I don't like an increase in government, and I don't like policies that read so convoluted that they're redundant. So with that said, any other comments?
Ann and I were comparing the R's with, I just got on Granville's website because it's easy.
That's the one I used as well.
Yeah, and theirs was much, much shorter, but we also use Neola, and we were trying to figure out who in the world
What
does
their-
theirs.
What they're
They
saying.
had a whole list. It was like, we have committees and we have attorneys and
Committee,
we,
consultant,
So
attorney, there
theirs
was a
was-
long
but
list.
theirs was much shorter. And I'll tell you, Ruth Ann and I looked at those 16 pages and I said, I can't touch this. I don't know what I don't know to shorten this. And I'm too afraid to even dive into this because I don't want to take something out that absolutely has to be in
That's
there.
where I was.
So I agree. I think it's going to probably have to be a yes for now. I didn't see a huge issue with the other two in particular, but I was sort of afraid of the beast of the 16 pages because I was like, one sentence might really matter. And
It was a whole lot longer than that. I
Oh,
promise you.
gosh. Well, and Granville's had theirs like broken down into different
Mhm.
sections, but it was still only like 4 pages. But I was like, I can't even begin to tackle this.
Yeah.
So,
Is ours fashioned after Neola or OASB?
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
fashioned after
Neola.
Neola. Granville uses
2020.
OSBA.
Okay.
Okay, you've about persuaded me. I'll let it go this time, but it doesn't mean I won't revisit it in another month because I believe an attorney needs to look at this and we need to narrow it down, and be able to capture it, be able to get our arms around it. So anyone going on our website to look at policies and procedures can read it and it would make sense to them. I would be fast asleep. I was working with Amanda on policies. And again, I didn't want to tackle this beast either. It's 16 pages and I don't have a legal background.
no,
So
I agree.
I
that-
get all that. And we just said, No, but we didn't have time with her schedule in mind to call an attorney and get this work done.
Yeah.
That can be a later thing. So at this
And-
point, that's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think, we'll have to revisit it, but we know that it needs to be up to date. So it's gonna be,
we really need it.
yeah.
You'll see it again.
So for today, it's
Okay.
gonna be good enough.
So with that said,
see
we
it
have a
again.
motion and a second. We've had enough discussion, I believe, unless somebody has something burning that they want to say yet. Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Benton?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Boer?
Yes. I'll be back. Okay.
Okay, my recommendations under personnel this evening. First of all, to accept the resignation of Kathleen Nerney.
We gotta do all
We
the
didn't
other
do
stuff.
the,
We gotta do C through G.
No, we did that.
You already did it.
We did that first.
Oh, I thought we were voting
I
to
broke
just
that out and voted
separate.
C,
Yeah,
June
we
through
did.
G
Oh, we
first.
That's
did
the
it.
first thing you
Okay.
voted
I'm
on.
so
okay,
glad.
sorry,
You
sorry,
make me
Dan.
Okay.
feel better, Amanda. I was missing all that every time we did
Well, I'm a
one.
newbie, so
I thought the same thing with her.
I thought it was just a vote to separate them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Under item 10, then, I'm asking you to accept the resignation of Kathleen Nerney, middle school intervention teacher, for the purpose of retirement, effective July 31st, 2021, and certainly finish out the school year here, but and thank her for her service to our children for many years here in our district. Under item B, to authorize the employment of 5 substitute teachers for second semester of the 2020-21 school year to support instructional services during the pandemic. This is the support services I told you we needed, because when we have the numbers coming back, we have to maintain social distancing. And so in order to do that, we will have to add sections at several levels. 3 of these teachers would be assigned to our elementary to handle students coming back, and also relieve the pressure on the online in-person teachers that's taken place. And again, we appreciate their efforts this fall. But with the more children coming back, we know that we will need at least three at the elementary. We're trying to be frugal and keep it as low as possible. Believe me, we are. But we know we will need at least 3 at the elementary, 1 at the middle school, and 1 at the high school. I've given you details on those in my ed briefs, but be happy to answer questions when it's on the table. But I would appreciate the board's support. Total maximum cost on those 5 long-term subs, again, think of them as temporary employees, only be hired for the second semester. First 60 days, they're paid as a sub. After that, they receive a contract for the rest of the year, and they receive the opportunity for benefits. A lot of times they don't take the insurance benefits, but we have to assume they'll take the max. So the maximum cost to the district would be around $148,000 maximum if all 5 came and took family plans, which we don't expect. So what we're hopeful to do, we're having a tough time finding subs. You might say, well, how do you think you're going to find subs for long-term? We think we will. We also have students who are graduating mid-year from colleges out looking for jobs. There's some pretty sharp kiddos that we can get our hands on coming out of the college now to get into interview for these jobs. But we need the authority to proceed. So I'm asking you for your consideration in giving that support to us to make this plan work. Under item C, you have the pupil activity positions being recommended to you this evening as listed. I won't bore you by reading each name, but those are my 3 personnel recommendations for you this evening.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion on,
Make motion.
I'm sorry?
Got me.
What?
I'll make the motion.
Oh, thank you. I could not hear you.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I would like to discuss B. I know one of our board members has spent a lot of time breaking that out today, and I think it behooves at least some questions. So does anybody care if we break item B, or do you want to bring those out right now? Maybe we can just bring them out and keep the
You just talk
motion
about it
all
now if you want.
together. Okay, any questions on, we don't need to call them questions, any comments on A through C.
So
On B, I think
On-
were the questions, and I had a question too.
I just want to thank Mrs. Nerney for her service and appreciate that and enjoy her retirement. Also wanted to, on B, so
Can you hear her?
can you hear me?
Barely.
Not well. We're just,
You're
we're
very
here going,
soft spoken.
hello?
I'll put mine on, you
Okay,
can pull yours down.
sorry.
You can hold it up here. We just can't, we're over here
I
going.
know.
"What?"
I know. I'm a panicker about this. So on the 5 long-term subs that you're looking at, 3 are in the elementary. Is that based on the numbers that you have currently, or is that your forecasted
That's
numbers?
based on the numbers that we have currently, allowing for a buffer for the potential of others coming back. What we're trying to hone, because some of this is delicate, looking at the teaching staff and their certifications, their ability to move, okay? And it's really a tough chess game to get it right. And so we want to get those numbers down. We know we need 3.
Okay.
We could probably justify 4 tonight, but I didn't want to go that far. We're going to try to do it with 3 because we're trying to be as frugal as we can, and we're hoping for some more COVID dollars to help cover some of this, quite frankly. But we know we need 3 in, for sure. You have students coming back who haven't been in school.
Yes,
They don't know how to do school.
absolutely.
We got to figure that out.
Or they're coming to school
Okay.
for the first time.
We've got kids that have been online for a while. We're trying to be mindful of potential gaps in learning and how best to serve those kids. So all this is part of the discussion about trying to get it just right. Because at the end of the day, at the end of the year, we want our kids to be as caught up as possible as we can get them. And we know we can't do it without 3. We may be able to do it without 4, without that 4th one.
Do you have commitments from, like, what percentage would you say of commitments from JLA are you still waiting for? 10%, 30%?
From JLA, we had, and this was as of Friday, and I haven't received reports back. I haven't asked for reports back from principals who have been on the phone calling. But as of Friday, we had 71 non-responsive JLA
Okay,
in the district at
Okay.
different grade levels.
got it.
I had
Okay.
169 non-respondents of the in-person learners. So I don't know whether some of those are choosing to go JLA or whether but that's why they're making calls to these people saying, what's it going to
Yeah.
be? In my letter, in my communication, I tried to be pretty clear in saying, we will automatically assign you to where you were the first semester, which I think is fair. But even with that, we're still trying to reach out and just see
Sure.
what the situations are,
Yeah.
to know what we have to try to serve our parents where they need to be served. So, and it changes every day.
No, that's,
But by
those
the
are
end of
good
this
numbers
week,
to
we've
have.
got to have a clear direction.
Yeah.
To get the master schedule done.
Sure.
Okay?
And
And
can
I can't tell my principals to go ahead until they know if they have this support.
And so on where I'm looking for the JMS and JHS, you want to have 1 additional at each school.
In each building,
Mhm.
yes.
So, and I may be wrong, but did we not have some extra teachers at JHS that could possibly pick up other classes?
Well,
Did I
that's-
misinterpret that?
Some of those, no, yeah,
Okay.
some of those, what we have is content teachers covering things like study hall.
Yes.
If we had a substitute that I could assign to the high school, they can cover study halls, which frees up those content teachers to have other sections to accommodate the additional kids coming back.
Okay. So we're going to be putting those teachers
Yes,
that are
in other
current.
sections.
Yes.
To
Okay.
help serve kids and keep social distancing. In some cases, moving classrooms as needed, but that's the whole game is I've got X number coming back. I've got to maintain the right social distance. And I've got certified staff that I got to place, and I got to decide what sections I can offer and not offer. That's the chess game at the high school right now. If they knew they had that one person, that really makes it more flexible for them to accomplish.
If we have that stuff, we are pretty certain that we can continue to do, we can accommodate the students coming back and continue, don't want to promise, but we're pretty sure, can continue to offer every JLA class that we're currently offering with the Johnstown High School teacher.
Mhm.
Those
And we also think that we can offer them electives with our teachers teaching JLA electives instead of doing. So
That'd be good.
that would basically allow us, which I think people have been relatively happy with, to do exactly what we've been doing this semester, next semester, with those extra kids in the building. But we need those teachers who are currently covering some of the study halls freed up to make that happen.
Understood.
If we don't do that, then some of those JLA
Yes.
kids lose a Johnstown teacher and go on
Oh.
to P.
And could they be?
Which we
used
all
in
thought
other
that it was
buildings
better to
if
have
we
our own
don't use them
teachers.
over here? Or are we limiting it to 5?
And for the middle school, similar? Okay, and you guys are comfortable with that at the middle school too, just with one?
Do you still have, do you still have the 60 rough students that leave every day at 11 o'clock? Do you still have that? Do they still leave, and do you have a diminished population in the high school that gives you flexibility in social distancing?
Yeah, so we will, in order to make this work, we currently this year extended it to juniors as well. So before it was only eligible to seniors who were in good standing. This year, in order to get students out of the building and not just have them in a study hall or electives that they don't want to be in, we offered it to juniors. And if this is the route we go, we're probably going to allow it for some sophomores who are on track, they've got their credits. If we can get them either here late and they know this is just a COVID exception.
Yes.
But what it does is it overall decreases the number of students in the building, limits the number of close contacts when we do start having positive cases. So, but we've been very explicit that this is a one-time exception, that in the future, we want them here taking classes, but
Okay.
at this point, if we can continue to educate as many people who want to be here in person, but limit the overall number of people in the building at any one time, that's our ideal kind of right now. And a lot of those sophomores, if they can either drive or their parents drive them, if we can get them out of 8th period or in
Got
second
it.
period, we're gonna try to do that.
In the elementary school, do you foresee putting their substitute teachers in what kind of role? Will they be on the online learning group, or were they in our classrooms that have core subjects? How are we using those? Just inquire.
So we've spoken to the current Johnny Learning Academy teachers to get their input on, how difficult would it be for a substitute to take on the role that has been taken on? And our input has been that it would be pretty difficult for a substitute to do the online. And so as much as our online teachers want to get back into the classroom, I think that they, everybody's stepping up and doing what they need to do. And of the ones I've talked to, they ultimately know, it's an administrative decision depending on if we get the support and who is in those roles. I mean, we could get a stellar substitute hire that's, very skilled with online, but currently knowing what they know and our current substitute pool, they thought they would be best to stay online.
Thank you. It's been a good discussion. I know it's helped.
And I just want to
everybody
say,
here
I was going to
understand
ask the elementary principals as well, since I spoke to Mr. Busenberg and Mrs. Almendinger. I wasn't going to exclude you.
But you can allude to the fact that the substitutes, especially for the elementary, right, we're looking for certified candidates, right? We're gonna
Yes.
post it and look for
Oh,
certified
absolutely.
people with.
We want to get the best
with
candidates we
with
can
the
for these
right
long-term
qualifications
positions.
So that they're qualified to be a teacher,
Sure.
right? So understand that that's the purpose of what we're trying to do.
And these
It's
are the
just
kind of
not our
jobs that
normal
people,
Substitute pool. It's going to be, we're going to try to recruit people that have just graduated from college in December.
Great substitutes in our current substitute pool as well, but knowing that if we pull them, then we're. gonna
Then you
be
don't have
short
another
day.
backup
And
to that.
so Either way, we're
Yeah,
recruiting and
but
posting those
you also
positions.
want the certification, right? If you can get it,
Right.
right? Certification teaching
And I think
classes.
one of the biggest things too has been trying to keep the continuity of education. You're dealing with some really young folks that really need to be in routines and procedures, and it would be really difficult for them to change teachers in the middle of the year, and that didn't happen. but we're gonna try to eliminate that as much as we can, but
Mhm.
obviously there will be some changes as
Yeah.
parents do, but we know how important that is to try to keep that continuity going.
Now, we won't be running any of these subs through Wren Hill. We'll be doing it in-house. You'll control the subs. Is that a correct statement?
You have a long-term subcontract
Okay.
for
I
them.
just
It'll state
wanted-
60 days at this rate and then this, and
Okay.
we'll set that up that
I
way.
just wanted to be sure because I felt that was an extra percentage or step that we
Right.
really didn't need to embrace if we're going to be the employer,
Right.
direct employer. Yeah.
I just wanted to add, and for the elementary, the upper elementary, we've been in a lot of discussions because 4th and 5th grade teachers are doing the same model as the middle school and the high school. So not only do we have students returning, but we're looking at how can we perhaps change those models to make it more equitable and to serve our students as best we can, but then also be as equitable as we can for our staff. So I just wanted to add that, and I actually would like to add one more thing if I could. It's somewhat related.
Sure,
if
Of
that's
course.
all right. I would just like publicly, I'm going to be embarrassed, but I would like to thank Debbie Paderi for all that she's done. in this
Debbie's
first
shaking her
semester.
head no.
I just wanted to say.
Her face is
that
turning red.
She really stepped up, and she probably made the biggest adjustment, maybe of any teacher in the building, and I think for the association president, to do what needs to be done, set a really good example, and I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Amazing. Yes.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
You know, the masks are very important and at this moment in time. We thank you very much.
So also in general, with the plan, then we have tried to be as frugal as possible to deal with this pandemic. We have, I think, utilized the COVID dollars well. And again, there's still some sitting out there that the state's not released. We're hopeful to get more. We were blessed with some news the end of last week that Bureau of Workmen's Compensation, I think they're going to be divvying out dollars back to their clients. We're going to get, if I remember, 79,000 returned in December. So that helps. That helps. If we get some more COVID dollars, we've tried to save the general fund, and this is really the first time we're coming in this whole pandemic and asking for dollars to support extras for this COVID out of the general fund, but we're still going to try to get it covered. So financially, we're doing okay. I appreciate the support of the board on this.
I have a quick question about second semester. In addition to supports personnel, are we still anticipating the need for desks at the elementary, and where?
Yes,
Okay, and
Part-
are we going to be able to get those? And,
they're delivered this week, Debbie.
oh, sweet,
We were able to find them in stock,
great,
matched up to what we
Good.
had before.
cool.
Same company, and they put them on a truck, and they're on their way.
That's great
Great.
news. I
Uh,
was worried they were going to.
Yeah. Some
Not
for
be in.
some for the, I think some middle school and some, most elementary. And keep in mind, then that's not a waste, again, I want to point out, because we'll use those in Searfoss.
Right.
Once it's renovated, or the renovated building.
Exactly. That's great.
No, that's great. Very good. Thank
And we
you.
won't wait for them then. We'll already have them. That's good news.
Mhm.
Okay, we had a motion and a second on the floor, and we had a great discussion, and we thank everybody who helped us understand more what you're doing. So at this point, without further discussion, we can call the roll on A through C.
Mr. Benton,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Swager,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas.
Yes.
This time we'll have the committee reports. Does anyone have a committee report? Technology's over. Okay, Debbie, are you ready for our little pony show here? We have just a couple things, so it won't take long. We just wanted to bring you up to date on the weight room. They had a fire safety inspection today. I've not heard that we didn't pass, so I'm thinking we did, and I want to get my head out of the way.
No news is good news.
Yes. However, it was a little bit of a hardship on the middle school in that we only got about a 5-minute notice that they were going to be running the fire alarms. So consequently, the middle school exercised all they had to give today and went out twice on a fire drill. They had to test the alarm 5 times. Finally, they said, you don't need to go out anymore. We have all qualified. So
I'm
That
glad it
was-
was warm.
one little side casualty. What?
I'm glad it was warm.
Oh, yeah.
You're qualified for the year, right?
And now they tell me they filled the law
Oh,
that
it
they
was
have to do it in November, so they won't have to do it in November. Isn't that wonderful? So at least we had good weather. Just wanted to bring up what the weight room looks like now. Is that what we have first, Debbie? Okay, maybe.
Yep.
If all of you remember how great the weight room looked before starting this project, this is what it looks like today. The bleachers, the wood elements you see on the side are the old bleachers. They've been sanded and they've got, some have two coats of finish. And you'll see on the right side, this is not finished on the right side yet. So they're still working on it. And the windows are not the windows we ordered. They'll come in and adjust the windows at some point and give us the right windows. We're excited about the new flooring that has been purchased for the weight room. It is actually appropriate weight room flooring. And I heard a comment today that it's anticipated to be in about a month. Is that what you got, Debbie, on your?
It'll ship on
You had the
19th of this month.
19th of this month it'll ship. So we're hoping we'll see that very, very soon. I think the most exciting part about the weight room is that the new flooring will allow us to keep it exceptionally clean. The old horse mat flooring did not allow that privilege. The ceiling, we have all new lighting, LED lighting. We have exhaust fans at both ends, and we have exhaust fans, or not, excuse me, circulating fans in 3 places in the building. And we have white metal ceiling, which absolutely allows the lighting to be stellar in that room. We also look forward to the fact that the doors now fit the framework in the building. We shouldn't be heating the outside temperatures anymore. So it used to be you could go in there and see about a 2-inch gap at the threshold. So it's exciting to see what can be done. Any questions about that? We don't have any further beauties to show you, but what we thought was this would be an interim look. And thanks to Mr. Busenberg and to Amy, who else? Amy Myers and who else? Josh? Okay, they will be providing a Fighting Johnny 5-foot tall piece that will go right here on this wall that you see. So that's going to be exciting for some actual color and beauty in the room. I know it looks a little bit non-colorful right now, and as we call it in the other decorating business, it's called setting the landscape. You don't want so much eye candy in there that when you go in, you get confused. So at this point, it's pretty peaceful. The heating system, we have 6 heaters, 2 that you can't see. In the old building, we had 2 heaters, and I think 1 worked. So this should be a vast improvement for the winter months in the weight room. Okay, that's all we have on that. Did we have anything? Okay.
Did you want the cereal?
Yes. And tonight we're going to show you the first rendering, and probably with a little bit of luck could be the final rendering of the Searfoss building. When I first saw this, I noticed the downspouts. The downspouts will disappear because they're going to be painted the color of the building. So take that out of there. The building will look quite different. The dark brown spaces you see in the front of it are actually the old beautiful brick that we had to deal with in the middle school. It's brown and green and black and several other colors. So they've tried to accentuate the negative and try to make it a positive. So the pillars out in front currently are designed to be matching the brick that you see the insets in the building. It's on the front of the building and it's on the side of the building here on the right side. We're not going to disturb that. It would be too expensive to do that. So that's going to stay. That's all we have at this point on Searfoss, other than I thought it might be interesting to just see how far it's come at this point and to look at the wonderful roof lines. There'll be some nice conversion in the inside for those of you who remember the Searfoss building. In the center of the building was an atrium that it will now become a library, tech center, classroom, whatever the teachers decide it ought to be. But right now it will definitely be covered over, so that will disappear out of the building. Chris and Jeff, do you have anything to add of what you see or where we've been in this project? You all have seen the page turn and you've been involved. And any good comments you'd like to leave with everybody who might be listening?
I think we're just excited to get it started.
So are we. We're all excited to get started, and COVID has not been kind, but we do have a meeting scheduled this week to do the page turn for the interior structure. It's been designed and a lot of people have looked at it, and we will continue to have that review from the various people that will have an interest in being housed in this building and for providing food service and janitorial services, et cetera. So anything else? Jeff, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I would say the same thing. We're just very anxious. We see the need and look forward to having it.
Great. Okay, thank you. That'll do it. Any questions from the board? Okay.
I just want to say, I think the weight room looks tremendous. It's beautiful. It's going to be clean. It's going to be safe and healthy. And I think everyone's going to really enjoy that.
Think so. And maybe we sell memberships. Is that what we do to amortize this investment?
We've got kids in there most all the time.
I know.
From all sports, so
Probably one of the
tough to work
heaviest
people
used
in.
used room in the district, I think. I don't know. The gyms probably do that too, but certainly that weight room is a classroom and is also a training room. So, okay, that's all I have. Any other business, old business? We'd like to talk about a bonus, yes. The board has instructed Mr. Dixon to place on the next agenda for the November 23rd meeting that we're going to be giving the teachers, the non-certifieds, and the administrators a bonus to show our humble appreciation for all that you have done. So that will be an announcement for our next board meeting, but we wanted to give you a heads up that we do appreciate everything you've done, and it has not gone unnoticed. I think Mr. Dixon has been wonderful in noting that every chance that we get. The board doesn't always get to say it, but maybe this is our way of saying thank you, and I could get emotional, so thank you very much. Good job.
Do we
Okay.
want to indicate the amount that we're looking at?
I'm sorry, Alan.
Do we want to indicate an amount that we're looking at?
You can, if you like. Would you like to do that?
Yeah, I would
I
like
know
to-
it. I've got it written, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
I would, what we want to do is give $250 to the staff and the teachers. And then for the non-certified, we want to do it for everyone, $150. And the reason for doing all of this is, you remember that we got the survey back for our performance for the fall semester. And you saw that the responses on the survey were just tremendous. That these are very difficult times and very challenging times. But when you look at the results that we got back from the satisfaction of our parents and our students, they were tremendous. So it's our way of recognizing as a board, it's all of us here, that it's outstanding. We can't say it enough. Earlier today, we've all spoken how outstanding everything has been, and this is the way that we can put some oomph behind our words. No, we appreciate you.
Yeah, we do. Appreciate it.
We
We
sure
do
Thank
appreciate
you.
everything.
And we will try to get that moving in a timely manner as quickly as possible. We know lots of holidays and everything are coming up, so we'll try to get that moving as quickly
So
as we
watch
can.
those Black Friday specials.
We
There's a
appreciate
chance for
everything.
you
We
to
know
buy
that
your
there was a
favorite
tremendous effort to bring all the kids back in person. Tremendous.
Okay. Any other business or comments? If not, we're ready to adjourn. We'll entertain a motion for adjournment, please.
I'm ready. I'll make the motion.
That would be Alan Benton. He's the
I'm
first to
always
get
ready,
out of
right?
here. And what's the second on that one?
second.
And Ann is going to second it.
It's 9 o'clock.
Any
ahead and do
discussion?
second.
No,
Oh,
you can keep it,
we did vote, right?
no
Vote.
further discussion.
Mr. Benton?
Oh,
Yes.
Pam.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Swager?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Thor?
Yes, ma'am. And the motion, or
Being
the
non-amendable,
the meeting is
non-debatable.
adjourned. I was kidding.